go, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit.
Hello and welcome to Outside the Box, Inside the Money. I'm your host, Jay Stanley, the DFS Outsider. It's a great Sunday afternoon. We're going to talk about the NASCAR race, excuse me, in Iowa. And we're going to break down the slate. We're going to talk about everything you need to know to help you build a successful GPP lineup here. As you know, this is what I do. This is my love. I am a different type of thinker than what you'll usually find out there. I am 100% GPP focused. I build multiple lineups, usually between 100 and 200 lineups per slate. And I play the ownership game. I look for leverage. I look for different ways to build. I look for just trying to be different, try to build starting points different. We'll get into all that, but let's talk about this race here in Iowa. This is kind of a it's a short track. You're going to see a lot of good racing, multiple grooves all over the track. This track is a patchwork track. There's like newer asphalt. There's older stuff. Tire wear will come into play, but it's not going to be like super extreme like you would find like at Charlotte or something like that. But what we're going to see here is this is the last year of this track surface. They are going to do a full repave starting next week. So basically next year when we come to Iowa, we'll have no data and we'll basically have to go off of just practice. And it'll still be the same size track. And I would say this is a little bit kind of in between intermediate and short track. It's going to have some intermediate feel to it, but it's still definitely a short track with lots of passing. We're going to see the last 2 years, Ryan Blaney in 2024, like totally dominated this race, led a lot of laps. Last year, William Byron won, led a lot of laps, but he basically did a gas gamble and stayed out and held on and won the race. So we saw qualifying. We're going to talk a little bit about the O'Reilly Series race as well. But qualifying, Blaney looks super fast. And he's definitely, in my opinion, probably the favorite to go out there and lead a lot of laps. And that's what we're looking for on most short tracks. So 350 laps. So this track's a little bit under a mile. And we're going to see um, one, possibly two drivers. Maybe they can go out and just take control of this race or different parts of this race. And as you know, with DraftKings scoring, that's going to equate to a lot of points. So the dominator has to be in your lineup. So we want to identify that right away. We'll talk here in a bit about which drivers possibly could do that. And I think it's limited to a handful of guys, to be honest with you. I'm not looking at this race as a race where you're going to see the laps led spread out. Is it possible? Yes, but that's not what I'm going to gamble on. And as far as my lineup construction, that's kind of how I'm going to start my lineups. So, like I said, short track field, multiple grooves, very difficult to pass, but you will see passing. We know with the next gen cars, we're not going to go into this long soliloquy about the problems the next gen cars have with the downforce. They're trying to make it better. It is getting slowly better. The racing is a little more entertaining, but really, the it's you're gonna have to have a car falling off, have a car that's better than another car to make passes here. If they're equal, it's gonna be very difficult to pass. You're gonna look for the guys that are experienced. They're gonna you go up high, you get a little better launch because the banking is pretty good here. I think I want to say it's like up to 14 degree banking between 10 and 14. So you're looking either the short way, and we know there's certain guys that like to run the shortest way around the track. And what we saw in the O'Reilly race is a lot of the cars that qualified and showed speed in practice were there at the end. Four of the five top finishers were all starting within the first six. So that's a note for possible starting builds, is trying to stuff, three or four of the highest qualifying guys into the lineups. That's not a strategy that I always like to play, but that is in play here. Um, but like I said, they're a news note. Uh, Ryan Preece and Todd Gilliland both failed inspection twice, so they didn't get to pick their pit stalls. I don't think it would have mattered much for Ryan Preece because he qualified near the back of the field, but for Todd Gilliland, it's a little stab because he's going to be right there in the middle of the pit road, with all the chaos. So um, I think good pit stalls are important here. Um, as with a lot of the short tracks. So the guys that qualified also have that advantage. But the restarts and the pitch strategies and stuff were all in play here. I think that penalty impact is, like I said, it's going to affect Todd Gilliland a little bit more. Congratulations to him winning the $1 million. Who would have thought in this crazy NASCAR playoff? So when they started this thing, I was kind of like, oh, okay, they're really grasping here, because at that point we were having a little bit of we'd gone to the new format, and I wasn't sure if I was even going to like this playoff thing, but really a great addition, and what a long shot. So for the in season playoffs, Todd Gilliland wins the $1 million, you know, and I was super excited for the guy. And it was really funny. The guy after the race didn't even, I mean, looked excited. I personally would have been jumping through the roof, but he was kind of like, oh, we were not that good, but we were just a little bit better. So I thought that was kind of comical. But congratulations to Doug Gillen. He's a guy that I root for. I think he's a talented driver. Just hasn't had the perfect equipment, but NASCAR's done a pretty good job. They've condensed the field, the quality of the cars. So, certain tracks you're going to see certain skill sets come to the forefront. This is a track that I think leans a little bit towards that. We're going to see some short track racers do pretty well here. Um, let's talk about qualifying. Um, Obviously Ryan Blaney winning the pole is great. Kyle Larson is going to be a lot lower owned, I think, than Ryan Blaney. Let's talk the drivers here. Let's go through the field just very briefly, and then we'll work on some construction. So, Ryan Blaney starting on the pole. Joey Logano, or excuse me, Kyle Larson second, and Joey Logano third. These two are going to be leveraged. I think Joey Logano gives you a little more leverage over the other two, but I think he's the type of guy has an outside chance to maybe really run some great laps. So a guy that I'm super interested is a little bit cheaper. That's Brad Keselowski in the four spot, showing that he can run well here. He's having he's racing pretty well over this little stretch of the season, as compared to Tyler Reddick, who has been completely terrible over the last pretty much month or two. I mean, he had such a great start to the season, and here we are, heading towards the end of the season, and he is not carrying any momentum going in. But he did have a nice qualifying spot. I think just for the fact that he's been racing so poorly, Mike might make his ownership pretty low. So that's just an interesting spot for me. And then Gibbs has been solid, definitely top five upside, but really, you think Denny Hamlin, he had such a poor qualifying effort. I think he's going to be super highly owned with the place differential. So starting way back in 29th, I mean, top five upside. I mean, he could win the race. It is Denny Hamlin. He's going to be super owned. I think a lot of people will be doing the Denny Ryan start. William Byron we talked about earlier. Not a he's 19th starting spot. I really like this here. I think he's just the track suits him, and I think that he's definitely has some big upside there. And if you look here, I'm going to switch over to my screen so we can see those just on DraftKings. So the price, Denny Hamlin, you're going to pay the premium. I think the pricing is pretty fair. Honestly, it's very fair. Um, I think basically identifying the dominators, Blaney, Larson, Logano, obviously. Maybe Kozlowski could get up and lead some laps. Byron possibly. I think the further you go, deeper you go to the field, it's going to take a while to get up there. So I like the early lead. So I really Blaney. Who's gonna take control of the race? It's probably going to be Blaney or Larson. And if it is Larson, I think there's a very good chance that at some point later in the race that Blaney or Byron or one of these other guys can come in and control another part of the race. So if you're going to play Larson, I think it's a good idea to maybe play another dominator with him. But if Blaney goes out and just dominates, I mean, this could be a straight up ass whooping. I mean, really, really could. He really enjoys this track, showing the speed, showing he's fast. And if you look, I mean, he had a win a couple races back, and I think it hasn't been, it does have the two wins, but it hasn't been this overwhelmingly amazing season for him. I think it's been solid, a lot of top 10 finishes, but 2 seconds, two wins for the year out of 25 races. But I think he knows that this is a spot that he definitely wants to get in, get the dub, and get out of there with some momentum. Heading into the chase. So I look for him to dominate. He's going to be my highest owned driver in the field. Now, so if you start your build with him, I think it's important if you're building a lot of different lineups to build starting points different ways, but obviously you start with your dominators and some. So I mean I'm going to start right here with some. Okay, now different mindsets. Do we want to stuff some guys early? Then starting 1-2, is that a smart thing? I mean it could be. It could be in this race. I prefer to come down here and maybe get a Kozlowski, and these are two guys that I like a lot together. And some people will build top down. You could do a different way. You can do top and then go down and pick your value, so you get the person that you want on the back end in, and you're not just kind of stuck with whatever salary you're sitting at. So as far as value, just Cole Custer starting in the very rear of this field. Let's before we start really building, let's look. Let's look at the chart. So if you go onto my website, thedfsoutsider.com, I write news articles every week for golf, NASCAR, and PGA. I have some serious sweats going on right now in PGAs. I'm having a pretty good week, but I'm gonna need a little bit of that late Sunday magic to finish it off and hopefully have an amazing week. And it's going to be a good week, I think, regardless. But I want to. We don't play for 16th place finishes or 23rd place finishes. We are playing for first. That's what we're looking for. We're definitely going to need a little magic today, and it could happen. I've put myself in position. I have plenty of lineups inside like the top 150 in these large field GPPs. So that's what we're looking for today there. But all right, so on what I like to do is I like to build a snapshot for the week. So for my chart, I talk a little bit about the track, and who's done well here in the last couple of years. And then I build a little bit of a chart, and I give them a scoring system. I uh, rate them between 1 and 4 based on their ranking in each category. So we know about the starting position. Obviously, you get bonus points for starting in the back because you have potential to move forward and get, like, whereas if you start in the front, you can only stay where you're at or go behind. So you're not going to get points there. You're going to get points by winning the race and laps led. So you're playing a little bit from behind, I would say, for there. So um, and I go the average finish over the last 3 races. Only been 2 here at this track, but generally I do the top 3 races, how many laps they've led in those races, the stage points they've accrued, and the driver averages rating that each driver is assigned based upon multiple factors in the race. So obviously we see, stud, you know, and let's go down here, and then I basically rank them. It's like first through 10th gets 4 points, 11th through 19th 3 points, 20 to 29 gets 2 points, and 30 and up only get 1 point. Add them all up, and that's kind of like our snapshot. So this to me is just a look and identify some possible value. It's just a nice thing, a nice starting point. Chase Elliott, 4s across the board. I mean, the guy starting in the back, he's starting with, I think, 32nd. Yeah, 32nd place. He's run well here. Who's this? I mean, like, he should be in a lot of your lineups. So if we go back to our builds, I mean, if you're gonna run Blaney, let's just say you run Elliott with him. Now we're definitely gonna want to have some better qualifiers, so then we can throw in our Brad Keselowski or Joey Logano or Gibbs or or Reddick or somebody like that. But if you look now, we're sitting at 7,500, so we're gonna have to identify some value. Now the question is going to be: do we want to go deep value? Do we want to throw in a Cole Custer or a Ricky Stenhouse or maybe a Todd Gillen, or Riley Herbst, somebody like that, or do we go balanced from here out? So Austin Dillon, interesting. He qualified really well. You know, hasn't been really great, but when he does qualify well, you know, he seems to run a little bit better. You see here, 7th to 3rd, 17th to 4th. I know these are, you know, a couple of them are, but here's an interesting one. 4th, he still finished 7th. Not a lot of people are going to click that, but we've already got 2 of our guys in the top here. I think to get another one in, if we're going to get a Logano, a Reddick, or a Gibbs in there, we're probably going to have to go pretty deep. Might not be a bad idea to come down to like a Cole Custer. That frees up a lot of salary. Now we can come up here. I mean, literally, you could click both of these guys. And look here. I mean, if you go by the O'Reilly race, this is what happened. Guys that ran well and were up in the front finished up in the front. And if that happens, you're gonna need to have some of those interoptimal. But if you don't go with Cole Custer, let's say you want to go with a Riley Herbst or maybe a Ricky Stenhouse, a little bit lower. Now we're looking for a mid guy that can move forward. I like Suarez a lot this week. Just he's so deep in the field and he's ran pretty well here. That allows you to get all the way up to your William Byron. So this is a phenomenal lineup. You're leaving 400 on the table. You got both of the last 2 years studs. You got a guy that runs well here from the back, a guy that's probably going to be in the top 10, maybe even in the top 5. And you got a guy that can move forward, and you got a guy that can probably not ruin your lineup and get you the dub if he can hang around in the teens here somewhere. So that's pretty interesting way to build. Um, let's talk leverage. So, a lot of people, like I said, are going to be clicking that button. I venture to say Denny Hamlin / Byron / Larson is going to be a starting point of a lot of builds. All right, so that means you're going to have to be crazy down here to differentiate yourself. So I think honestly, $400 cheaper, not starting quite as deep in the field, but still deep enough to give you a lot of potential moving forward. I think Christopher Bell. I mean, look last week. Similar. Started 23rd all the way to second. Got to be in the optimal. Look here, 32nd to second. When he starts deep in the field, I mean, this guy. We're not going to talk about that race. That was not a typical outcome, but the guy has been right there. I mean, 3 of the last 4 races in the top 2. I freaking love it. I think it's a great pivot off of Hamlin. Okay. You might even see some people start with those two. I don't think that's terrible. But then who's gonna dominate the race, right? You might have to come down here to a Logano or a Larson to even make it work. Like, look what happens if you run these 3 top. Now we're talking 6,000. I mean, you almost certainly have to play a Custer or or something like that to even. Now we're up to 6,700. We like Suarez, and then you could throw like a Eric Jones or maybe a Zane Smith in there or something like that. I think that's viable if you're doing that. But a lot of people are going to do that, and it might be hard to get a unique lineup. If you're going to take down a GPP, it's really important to be unique. It's super super important to be unique. Um, like, how often do you win a GPP? You're not going to win every week. You're not going to win every other week. But when you take one down, do you want to split it 5 ways? I don't think you do. I think that just tears up your ROI a little bit. Unless you're just a fucking beast and you're just winning a lot and you doesn't even care. I don't think that's a reason not to play a lineup, but it has to be taken into consideration. For me, leaving a little money on the table, trying to be a little different, trying to be chalk on top of chalk on top of chalk on top of chalk. The more chalk out of the 6 that you play, the you know you're just trying to win among a mass of people. So you already have that to begin with. But if you can eliminate by finding some leverage, finding some lower owned guys, that's how you shrink a field down, and it's much easier to. I'd rather fight against 1,000 people than 10,000 people. I think that just gives you an opportunity. So I think Bell's going to be good leverage. I think that Logano and Larson are going to be leverage over Blaney a little bit. Briscoe is Briscoe. Briscoe, if you're going to play Elliott, you're probably not going to be able to fit Briscoe in. I mean, you could do like a Blaney, Briscoe, Elliott, and some people will probably go to that and just leave the expensive pieces out. But I think he's going to be a little bit lower owned. I think Chase Elliott's going to have some pretty massive ownership. I think for good reason. I think it's good to have him in there, but you're going to have to find different ways to be different elsewhere. I think Reddick and Gibbs are going to be under owned. Bubba Wallace can do Bubba Wallace things. I mean, he's been feast or famine. Look at this: 28, 6, 29, 6, 22nd, 2nd, 21st, 3rd. All right, if we go with this trend, I'm just being silly here, but go with this trend: bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Maybe he's gonna. Now we're gonna go back to good. Pretty, pretty comical. I find little anomalies like that, and I find it funny. But he is a guy you're gonna want to have some exposure to. I mean, 8,000 starting in 26th. If he's having one of his days and he's running well and doesn't make any stupid mistakes, he definitely could find himself in the top 10 and in optimal. We already talked about Brad. Carson Hocevar, man, this guy's got so much hype. He's really a good driver. He does have that win, and I think the expectations are really high just because of the popularity. I mean, he started on the pole last week, finished ninth, probably let down a lot of people, but moves backward, moves backward, moves forward, moves backward, 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 forward, backward. I mean, you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of backwards from where he qualifies. I think have some exposure because of the talent, but nothing crazy because you can get Busher or Bowman who are going to be much more proven, and have a little bit better, moving forward upside. So Busher and Bowman for sure, like especially Alex Bowman. I mean, if you go and go back to our ranking chart, I'm pretty sure he's up pretty close. Yeah, look at that. I mean, he's right there. We got that the moving force. The average finish has been great. The ratings is great. Stage is pretty good. Everything looks pretty good. You can look at him, the specifics of it. Busher, same thing. He's got him some stage points here. He's got him some laps led. You know, um, not a great finishing position, but that's still a lot forward from where he's starting. And if you go up to Bowman, even better. So no laps led, but Ben was very consistent. So that's something to take note on. Josh Berry, somebody that's very interesting. He's starting 13th and the average finish of 10th. If he finishes exactly like then and maybe leads a few laps like he's shown and gets him some stage points like it's shown, definitely could be in the optimal super cheap piece. Might be a good pivot off of some of these like Daniel Suarez, 33rd to 17th would be great. He's got some stage points in there. Um, yeah. So you see what I'm saying. But so Ryan Priest, like we said, the pit stall was changed, but he's already starting at the rear, so I don't think that meant crap to him. If that team can find a way to get a little more speed out of that car, he's definitely in consideration at that price tag. Chastain has done pretty solid here. I don't think nothing that goes crazy. No laps led, no stage points, but 11th place average finish position. Not not terrible. And you're looking for pieces like that can not wreck your day. If you got the Dominator and you're paying all this money and you find the right expensive pieces to go in, you're gonna have to find the right value to go with it. And he interests me a lot. So Van Giesbergen's had a much better year. I mean, just look, he's shown that he can do well at tracks other than road courses. This, I think, he has to be considered the most improved driver of the year, in my opinion. I just really like what he's done, and I think he's a guy at 6,500 that can also help you and get you a good finish. If he finishes 13th or 12th, could be in the optimal, 100%. Not too interested in Michael McDowell. Zane Smith, some mild exposure. He has not had a good way here at Iowa at all. And really, Shane hasn't either, but Shane's a different driver than last year. So I value a driver like him a lot more. Ty Dillon's really struggled here as well. Larson, look at the laps led and the stage points, but it has not equated to good finishes. And I think that's going to really help his ownership. I like the fact that he's shown that he can run up front. He's shown that he's capable in the stages. I think bad luck has to do a lot with this finish. I think he is a nice leverage spot. Cole Custer at that cheap price point. Um, you know, 26 average. If he moves forward 10, it's not in the world. I think he could probably do maybe a little better. If he gets a 22nd place finish and it helps you stuff 5 studs in there, the right studs in there, he could possibly help you at the end of the day. Denny Hamlin's not done well here. So that will not be enough. 29th to 24th will not be enough. Same type thing, very talented. I think the luck has a lot to do with it. I know there was gas strategy and pit strategy that probably had a big effect on one of those races, if I remember correctly. Cindric's shown some ability, okay, but the 12th starting position doesn't make me super excited. But you probably want to have a little exposure there. Reddick hasn't been great here; just been very mediocre. Here's a value piece that could possibly help you. Value piece, you know. Austin Dillon. Interesting. So yeah, we've gone through the field, but I really think if you're wanting to get funky, wanting to get different, let's start our build with Christopher Bell, and let's throw a Kyle Larson. I think this is a great starting point for a different type of build. So right, so Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and we can jump down here now. The little price savings. We can fit a Bowman, a Busher, get our value, one value piece, maybe John Hunter Nemechek, and that leaves us 8,600. Does that get us to? It gets us to a Gib. Let's say Gib. Let's do Gibbs. Reddick might even be less owned. I mean, we can do one lineup with each. Could do you know what I'm saying, and do maybe a Bubba Wallace, or on the contrary, you could go with Josh Berry and get up to Brad Keselowski. I like this even more. This is a very, I would say, not say extremely contrarian. I mean, because we're stuffing all the salary in, but I'm really liking this lineup right here. All right, you start with your value, like you said. If we start with our value, let's say you really want to start with your Shane Van Gisbergen, and say, all right, I'm gonna do a lineup, make sure I get him in there, and we throw a Ryan Preece in there, starting way back in the field. Now look, we're already over 9,000 for the remaining four drivers. I think if you throw a Bubba in there, now you're at 9,500. You can get your Chase Elliott, your Briscoe. That's gonna leave enough for William Byron. Interesting, different, completely different. Okay, 300 on the table. Just showing you different ways. Now, remember when I said that I like to build a lot of lineups. So if you're building one lineup, I mean, you know what most people are going to do. They're going to try to they're going to change it 10 times and get it just right. They're building 5 lineups. They're going to maybe like really focus on one guy or something and all that. That's not how I roll. If you're playing, like, let's say you're playing let's just go look at the choices. Let's go to NASCAR. All right. If you're going to be building lineups, I mean, if you're going to be picking which contest to enter, let's say you've got a $100 bankroll for the week. You're gonna, all right, I'm going to play 100. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll get 50K to first. I'm going to throw 5 lineups into this $20. You know, you have a 5 in 14, almost 15,000 chance of winning that 50,000. Now, say what you want. Literally, you could do that. All right. But what if you, for the same thing, you entered 20 lineups into the $4? And even, I think that's even, what do you say? Let's say we put 5 entries into that, and then go down here to the dollar or the 50-cent tournament and max entry that. Maybe put 2 entries into the main, 5 entries into the 4, and then do 50 cent or dollars for the rest. And it just gives you a little more exposure. And you can still have the same strategy. You can really just build around your core. All right. You can still build around your core. So, just different things. So cheap drivers that I really like. I already said a little bit of exposure to Custer, a sprinkle of Gregson, maybe a few of Ricky Stenhouse. I'm not all too interested in Austin Hill. Just the guy hasn't finished in the top 30 in a long time, and as he was looking a little promising or solid at one point, it's just really gone to crap for Austin Hill. And I think he's talented. I just think the Richard Childress team is just not producing cars that are fast, and that's been a trend. It was frustrating for our buddy that was there. and it's continuing to be frustrating. So I mean, I don't care who you put in those cars. I don't see those cars producing first place finishes for, So um, let's try something a little different. So I think this might be a chalky way to start. Okay, these two. Who could dominate? Let's try a Logano. 6,800. We're gonna have to dip down. Let's throw our Ricky in there. That puts us up to 74, and I think you can get to a couple guys that we really like. I think the Bowman, um, Busher could be a good combo. You could even do Brad or Bubba. I think it's important to have at least a couple of those guys starting up front. You could throw an Austin Dillon in here to be super different. You could throw Josh Berry in there. I think that's good. Ryan Priest to stuff the salary. Just think about that. I say this in a lot of my videos. Stuffing salary every last dollar. A lot of people do it. Sharps aren't afraid to do it. Casuals are going to stuff it. And there are a lot of casual players who play these things. They don't. They just they think that more money means better always, and it doesn't always mean better. Okay, I'm not afraid to do something like this. I got 7,400. I'm gonna throw a Shane Van Giesberg in, and look, I don't need right here. I'm gonna throw Ross Chastain in and leave 1,300 on the table. This I guarantee you, this is a unique lineup. Okay, this will also allow you to go from him to him, still 1,100 on the table, or you could even go as far as here, still leaving 300 on the table. You know, you could throw him out, and this is a viable lineup. Just leaving 700 on the table. Just showing you some differences, right? So this is just different ways to think. But that's pretty much it. Basically, what's important when you construct your lineup is to construct differently. We haven't really done a bounce build. Let's do a bounce build before we go. Keselowski, Bowman. Let's do a Larson and Elliott. We still got 8,000 here. I mean, you could do Bubba and Carson Hocevar, and just an interesting build here. Super balanced. You don't have to go down here and really take risks on inferior drivers that way. You know, if you stay away from these top two, it allows you to get your possible dominator and then really build strong around it. So I mean, like Blaney, Elliott, boom, 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 boom. Like super balanced. I don't feel uncomfortable with any of these. I'm not afraid to feel uncomfortable. Okay. I'm not afraid to throw Austin Dillon in there. I'm not definitely not afraid to throw, some guys down here. But there's a difference between a dart play, a guy that, if he runs his ceiling, all right. Cole Custer, he runs his ceiling in this race, 20th place, right? But that's plus 16 and a 20th. And at that price, if you have the right things happen up top and you need a lot of these expensive guys in the optimal, like, you get a Hamlin, Byron, Blaney lineup, and then you get, what I'm saying? Like if you get those guys all both leading, all three leading a lot of laps between the three of them, then you're gonna need if something like that happens, it could be enough to be into the optimal. So, um, but I kind of look at each player like Connor Zillich. I'm gonna have no exposure to him. Love the talent, but just wow, not had a good season. Has not lived up to expectations, and I'm not sure why that domination he had in the second series hasn't equated to any success at all here. But the good qualifying effort. I just like it's gonna be super low owned. If this guy does get in the top 10, I mean, at that price, you're gonna probably have to have him. But it's just, you know, if you're playing in some tournament, a lot of entries might not be a bad idea just to throw him a couple in there, but not somebody that I'm gonna be wasting a lot of entries on. So there you have it. That's our DraftKings build. Let me get back over here. All right. So appreciate you guys stopping in and checking me out. If you're watching the replay, you can just see kind of what I'm about. I'm all about just finding ways to be unique. I really pinpointing. I love what I have for you here on the website, the dfsoutsider.com. Come check it out. Like I said, my golf content is pretty. If you look at my picks, I'm I'm on it a lot. Every week I've targeted a lot. Like my two biggest plays were this week were Tom Kim and Davis Thompson. So like these both guys are right there in the hunt, and very disappointing week for Cam Young. But I had a good amount of exposure to him, but the lineups I didn't have really are centered around those other two guys. With Koivan, it was, some other guys. So I'm looking forward to watching the end of that today and watching the race. So I'm going to be back and forth. Today's going to be a great, hopefully sweaty day, and hoping to take down one of these GPPs. Maybe both. How awesome would that be? So all right, I'm going to wrap it up. Before I go, please like and subscribe. Like the video, even if you watch it after the fact. Like the video, subscribe to my channel. On my website, I have the only really revenue that been bringing in is through my Ko-fi on my website. So if I give you some advice and you go win a GPP, send me a little love. I'm not gonna beg or anything. Just that's how I keep my motivation moving forward. At some point, I plan on having a Patreon. At some point, I plan on doing bigger and better things. It's just right now this is something I've put a lot of time building this website, put a lot of research involved. I hand build all my lineups. I think differently. I use tools. Do not use optimizers. I don't, let me rephrase. Do I look at optimizers? Yes, but I don't use them in the traditional sense that you would think. I use it to kind of just get a feel who a lot of people are using those things. So get an idea who they're using, who they're going to be playing, and I try to find ways to pivot, and I look for equal, range, price range guys, and find guys that have similar upside. And heading into football, I've been very successful over the years in football. I don't do basketball. I don't do NBA. I don't really do other sports. MMA, I might throw a couple just for fun, just if I'm gonna go over to a buddy's and watch the fights or something. But I literally I stick to what I'm good at. I've been very successful over the years with NASCAR on DraftKings. I've been very successful with PGA, and I've taken down GPPs in all three sports. NFL, I live and breathe. I'm a Colts fan. Don't hate me for it. I think we are an underlooked team. I've played some season long over on the wins, over. I bet him to win the division, and some props for Daniel Jones. Man, just watching him in camp. I think this team has really improved their defense. I think the offense is going to have more opportunities. If they stay healthy, which is any team in the NFL, I think we have a chance to do really big things. We saw the first half of the year what they did. So I'm not going to go into a big football thing. I'm going to be cranking out football content, excuse me, here very soon. I haven't put anything out for best ball. I made the final in both playoff and regular, the Millionaire Maker for DraftKings for best ball. I don't know why I just been so time consumed with NASCAR and PGA that I am building lineups over there, but I am full on going to switch my focus over, still providing good NASCAR and PGA content, but my main focus will go over to NFL. I'm trying to grow this channel. I would love for you to share this, talk about it with your friends. Come join me in the chat. Like I said, I'm just starting. I'm literally been doing this for just like 6 months, and I've been like kind of trying to get into my comfort zone, being on the camera, learning the technology, kind of integrating all the data collection, and I'm trying to create a schedule that's consistent so you can know when to expect me online, to do these live shows and whatnot. So I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. But, um, my plan is to full on have a schedule and grow this channel. I want to be interactive. I want to talk in the chat, answer questions, and hash things out and build this up and just be something a little different. And uh, I have another guy that'll come on the show, Frankie. He doesn't come on the live shows, but he will be full on helping out with NASCAR. Excuse me, with NFL, and it's just I'm trying to make this fun. So let's have some fun. Let's take down some fucking GPPs. Let's get at it this week. I'm ready to pop on and see how golf's going. I haven't looked in an hour, so I'm excited to go check that out. So just remember, being different makes a difference. Um, let's have a great week and look forward to seeing you guys again. And remember, it only takes. We'll see you.